Hi, I'm Mayor Jay Tiptraining, and welcome to this edition of Chandler Inside and Out. Today, I think we have a very interesting program for you. We have Dave Moss, Senior Manager with Macerich at Chandler Fashion Center. Macerich owns Chandler Fashion Center. Thanks for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me, Mayor. Really appreciate it.
Looking forward to a good half hour of discussion, education, and what have you. You came to managing that facility for Macerich in 2015. But talk about a little bit about your background that brought you to that moment.
Well, I actually grew up a little bit in the mall business. My dad managed shopping centers when I was younger, and so I remember going and setting up Christmas as a 10-year-old, and
Right.
holding the radio. So it was pretty fun. But I started my career in Colorado, and I've moved around to Idaho, to back to Colorado, to Tennessee, to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then I left -11 and showed up at 82 degrees in Chandler, Arizona.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Which
Wisconsin.
mall were you involved with there?
I was running a great mixed-use center called Bayshore Town Center there. It had indoor, outdoor, apartments, office. It was really a neat site.
How about the Mall of America in Minnesota? Did you ever work there?
Never worked there, but I think until that reality show, I had a dream of it.
Okay. Well, I didn't see the reality show, so
They did a security follow along. It was an interesting show.
okay, good. So you came to manage the Chandler Mall in 2015. I was mayor my first stint through when we opened that mall back in, I believe, 2001.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, we did that in 2001, right after the 9/11 attacks, actually. We had the 9/11 attacks September 11th of 2001. We were planning the opening of that mall, and we proceeded with that. And we opened that mall the first week in October or November of that year. I mean, it was really close on the heels of those horrific attacks. But anyway, so it's been a prominent part of our community for a long time, and we think a very good part of our community. So maybe give your sense of the quick history of the mall. I kind of brought you up to where we did it. It was tied, by the way, to the freeway. That mall was not going to open in Chandler until the 101 was done all the way past the mall, hooking up into 202 when those were eventually going to come. But they wanted to bring that traffic. So the freeway was dedicated sometime in 2001, and a few months later, that mall was dedicated. But how about from your perspective, a little history on the mall and maybe a makeup of tenants, stuff like that?
Yeah, Chandler Fashion Center opened, just like you said, at that precipice of when those two freeways did. And you look at really the growth of Chandler to the south and to the east really took off at that point. Chandler Fashion Center, being a 1.3 million square foot shopping center, really prided itself on being a second Nordstrom in the entire state of Arizona, and bringing that kind of cutting edge, family level, and maybe aspirational luxury level
Right.
Retailers to the area. I think the way we targeted Chandler Fashion Center when we first leased it was really trying to create synergy in the wings. And if you ever visit Chandler Fashion Center, it's got a capital A on the upstairs. So it starts with the food court and goes out to Nordstrom and Dillard's.
Mhm.
And then on the lower level, it's just a U, kind of going from Nordstrom to Sears to Macy's to Dillard's.
Yeah.
But we tried to lease it with a teen-focused wing,
Right.
a kids-focused wing, and then a fashion-forward wing with some services and other neat experiences mixed
Yeah.
in.
The interesting thing about that mall too, in Macerich, which its predecessor was Westcor. I think Macerich bought Westcor. Westcor bought that ground like in the 1980s, and said, "This is where we're going to do a mall one day." But it showed me a little bit about the vision of Westcor and also mall developers, how they have to look 15 years out. So it was basically bought in the 1980s, that site. From the Propstra family, and then they just kind of waited for the whole area to mature, but they had a very good vision saying this is going to be the focal point, obviously with the freeways and what have you, but also their confidence in Chandler. So some of your tenant makeup, maybe you can chat a little bit about tenant makeup. I mean, I know you've got the Apple store, which
Sure.
probably is, I heard they had closed one and moved into a bigger and fancier model.
Yeah, they just up in the Scottsdale Fashion Square, they're doing a big remodel right now and kind of renovation. But one of the pieces they did is they're retrofitting the old Barney's location with a brand new full prototype kind of town center version of the Apple store, and that just opened at the end of September.
That's
That's one up in Scottsdale Fashion
Scottsdale.
Square. Yep.
How about down here though?
But
They-
down here, we actually did the newest prototype almost, I guess, about 2 years ago now.
Okay.
That we did the newest prototype. But it's amazing design, full flow lighting all the way to the end. If you stand in front, the architects designed it so that at no point do you have more than 12 inches blocking your gaze to see the entire space. No columns, no nothing. So the doors
Interesting.
turn and pivot. They don't break away and go into a closet or anything, just pivot. And so anywhere you stand, you only have 12 inches of blockage, so to speak, of seeing the entire store. So it's very crisp and clean. And I think it elevates the experience, which is what we've really tried to focus on. I mean, you look at Kendra Scott and Soft Surroundings, those stores are just gorgeous in their build out. I mean, levels of paint finish and levels of class and lighting and just how they've laid out the stores is all trying to focus on an upscale, better experience, but not even just on the upscale part, just on better, being quality.
Yeah. You know, one of the big things about the mall when we were in the early stages of negotiating with Westcor, and we knew there was going to be a mall, but it was the tenant mix. And we really wanted Nordstrom in Chandler. We knew what Nordstrom, having that name at that time and having that in Chandler, we knew that was a huge deal. So we negotiated for years to get Nordstrom, and we got it. I mean, there was a lot of give and take with Westcor, but getting that has been really an important part of that mall, having that store. And I don't know if you want to comment on Nordstrom or what have you.
No, I think Nordstrom runs a great model. They really understand. In fact, even in this evolution that we're seeing in the retail, Nordstrom is one of the top major players that understands how to get a sale done, and anywhere is good, and how to communicate with their customer. So having a Nordstrom at any point, even now versus in 2001, it's still a huge win.
Yeah.
And they do a hub and spoke mentality. They have a flagship, and then they like to have that hub at the flagship and a spoke off in the market. And I think Chandler's a great home for it, just given the densities now, given the job growth and what you and your team have done here in Chandler, just to continue that employment growth. Really, I think only solidifies the demographics for them.
Yeah, and again, it's just the two locations here in the state, I would assume.
That's it.
The Scottsdale and the Chandler malls. Yeah, we felt good. So you have a pretty good tenant mix, and we'll get back talking about a little bit of retail and what have you. But as we're taping this show, a week prior to the taping of this show, you, the mall owners and operators, had a significant announcement. It was Crayola was bringing this new experience that they have into Chandler. So I'm going to have you explain to our audience, what is that, what does it do, and what it means to you guys.
Well, Crayola for us is really an exciting announcement for us. It's 22,000 square feet. It's going to be between the food court and the Sears building on the upper level. Some of our Chandler shoppers might know it as the former Gap space.
Okay. The whole space.
The whole space, the whole entire thing. And it's going to have 19 different attractions, and they're the best attractions. They've been testing them at a couple other locations. They're taking the 19 best attractions, and it includes melting a wax crayon and doing spin art with a wax crayon and wrapping your own, naming your own crayon.
It's an entertainment venue.
Entertainment, but it's combining a little bit of retail in that they'll have a 3,500 to 4,000 square foot store that's all dedicated to Crayola at the front. That's open all the time, so you don't have to go to the attractions. You can go in and get a great set of crayons, or you may get a custom plush animal. Hold a whole bunch of different things. It's going to be an impressive store, but the attraction part's going to be really cool because it's designed to be a 2 to 3 hour family experience. Which for Chandler, families is the name of our game, and we'll be able to see people go in, spend time together, enjoy each other, experience kind of the Crayola memories together. And for us, it's the fifth. It's the fifth in the nation for Crayola, and we landed it here in Chandler.
That's significant.
Which is significant.
Because we're always proud about that. We did that with the General Motors Innovation Center. We did it with our Waymo test program, where we were one of the few cities in the whole world that had it. Name the other cities in the United States that have the Crayola experience.
So it started in Pennsylvania near Crayola's headquarters, and then they expanded it into the Mall of America, which is huge because it has the Nickelodeon Entertainment Center and Legoland. So they have a big presence there at kind of the premier center. They then opened in the Orlando Mall in Florida, which is between the airport and Disneyland, or Disney World.
Disney World.
And you can tell I've never been. I'm just kidding. But and then they just opened in Plano, Texas last year, or earlier this year, and then next year is Chandler. So
Yeah.
it's pretty exciting.
When will that open for our audience?
We're looking at mid 2019. So for the audience as a guest, anything around July is going to be pretty spot on.
So they should get ready to get in line in the middle of July and go into the Crayola experience or the retail store.
Yeah, and enjoy the free air conditioning is what I would say.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good time of year to enjoy it.
Good time to do it.
So the question I've got is, what goes into landing a Crayola? Because like I said, they only got a couple stores, and you got one of them. How does that work?
Well, thankfully, I've got a pretty gangbuster team. They're really good at going out finding people. But in this instance, for Crayola, it was connections that we had with Hallmark, who Crayola is a subsidiary of, and we had seen the concept at Mall of America. We had visited the one in Pennsylvania, and we loved the topic. And so in talking to them and kind of their plans, we kind of laid out a couple locations that we thought would be really, really premier for them. Now, simultaneously, your great team in economic development had also had similar ideas in this instance.
Okay.
And had reached out to Crayola as well, kind of saying, hey, we think Chandler would be a great location. We didn't know that at the same time, but then when we brought them in, it was great. They're like, oh yeah, they reached out to us. And then really, the Chandler City team is really kind of a key focus for us, because we bring someone in and it's still just a looky-loo, it's just kind of drive-by window shopping, but bringing in economic development or someone like that can talk about the strengths of the city or key things really kind of solidifies the deal for us. And then we talk numbers, we talk construction, we get some bids, and then when it all kind of comes together, we get a deal done, get it signed, and then we get to make a fun announcement like we did last week.
So it sounds like we had our local economic development folks in. It also sounds a little bit to me like we were kind of on their radar, maybe, with Crayola, whether it be from Waymo and all that press we receive on Waymo, or being the innovation and technology hub. The Chandler's got kind of a reputation out in those markets, it sounds like.
Yeah, we were talking to another tenant that has shown interest in Chandler, and they were very aware of Chandler from the technological side, from the early adoption side, and they're excited. They're looking at Chandler too, and if I get a chance to have a second big announcement, I can't wait.
Good, let me know.
Yeah.
Try and do that before January 10th.
I'll see what I can do.
So the mall really is the center of our retail hub in Chandler. I mean, obviously I don't know, how many square feet is the mall?
Well, the total square feet is 1.5 million square feet if you include all the exterior little shops and stuff.
Yeah, so it's the center of our hub. But where does that mall draw from? I mean, it's not just Chandler people coming. What's kind of your base?
Well, we look at in the retail, we look at 5-mile, 10-mile radiuses, and then trade area radiuses. And we've done license plate studies. We've pulled everywhere from Maricopa. We've pulled all the way down to Coolidge, and then we've even pulled all the way across into the west side, and pulled from Levine and some other areas. So
I like hearing that.
We think we got a pretty good, but our primary draw, if you looked at 5 miles, is really everything kind of Chandler, Gilbert, kind of South Mesa, a little bit of Tempe. We're just pulling a primary kind of that 5-mile radius.
Good. I'll be right back to you. I'm going to reintroduce the show, and then we'll dig into some other things.
Great.
I'm Mayor Jay Chip Sherney. You're watching Chandler Inside and Out. We're talking all about the Chandler Mall and Macerich and what's going on in retail shopping today. Again, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm hearing that the base, you're strongest among 25 and 34-year-olds. What's that all about, and what do you attribute that to? Why is that are those your biggest buying ages or something?
Well, I think for us, we're actually even bigger. It's 25 to 34 is a core group for us, and then 34 to 54 is another core group for us. And I think the 34 to 50-year-olds have just tremendous buying power, and they're able to come in and shop, and they're at that point where they have discretionary income, and they live here in Chandler in a nice house, and they like to put nice things on and nice things in it. And so for us, that's been big, but the 25 to 34-year-olds are moving in. They're coming in. They're experiencing Chandler. They're getting those Intel jobs and those PayPal jobs. And we just announced Chandler did the OfferPad is moving into our borders, and that's a homegrown tech company. same thing, right? So a 25 to
Right.
34-year-old family and shopper is growing, and they provide the want for those new things, the aspirational luxury, the experiences, and I think for us that's been a big push because it helps kind of round out our retail mix and makes the sales
Right.
robust in the where we need it to be.
The dining options too, I'm sure, are a big part of whatever demographics is utilizing the mall.
Yeah, I think having the right dining option. We got the number one cheesecake factory in the valley, so I mean
When,
it's pretty great.
whenever my in-laws come into town, they want to eat at the Cheesecake
And right
Factory.
now it's pumpkin spice season, so you
Oh
get a
my
pumpkin
goodness.
cheesecake, which is
Yeah.
pretty to die for.
So you're doing real well with my family, between my wife ordering a lot of Nordstrom stuff online and then returning it to the store and then buying more at the store, and my in-laws coming into town and wanting to eat at Cheesecake or PF Chang's.
Yeah, the north side of the mall is your mall, so that's the way to go.
Yeah, we like that. We like that. Um, how do our demographics fit in? And I think you've kind of answered that with the high-tech jobs, the high-wage jobs, but how does that fit into the success of Chandler Fashion Center?
Well, I think as retailers are looking at the nation for where to deploy stores, where to put in a store, they're looking at cities to cities and towns to towns to compare who would be the right fit for them, but also who would have the money to spend and be willing to try it. And so when they compare Chandler Fashion Center with Scottsdale or Arrowhead for the market,
Right,
they're saying, okay, well, when we come into town, we come into Phoenix, man, we love the Scottsdale area for these reasons. We love Chandler for these reasons.
that's
And
good to
so,
hear.
I mean, you look at like Kendra Scott, and they
Right,
put we were their first inline or in the enclosed regional mall. We were their first store in Arizona to go into an enclosed mall at Chandler. They had
okay,
gone into Scottsdale Corridor and La Encantada down in Tucson,
right.
but hadn't done an indoor mall, and so they came to Chandler. So it's kind of when they look at those demographics, they want to lay it out and kind of figure out what's best for them, and Chandler's demographics stack up against the nation very well.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mentioned that my wife does a lot of online shopping, which she does. How has that affected the mall? And I mean, that's just a new pattern. There's more and more and more goods being bought online. You guys seem to have fared pretty well with that, but the bricks and mortar is a bit under fire because of that. And maybe you could chat and educate us a little bit on that.
I would, what I would say is online shopping has actually benefited the brick and mortar in the standpoint that the retailers that are in there need to be better for their customer. They need to engage their customer. So
Right.
I know earlier we talked about Nordstrom,
Mm-hmm.
but if you look at online sales at Nordstrom, you can buy online and pick it up at the store. You can buy it online, try it on a store, and then exchange it. You can drive up and text them, and they'll bring it out to you. You can go to the store, buy it, and have it shipped to your house for free. I mean, they've really created
Yeah.
a way to do it. And so as online sales have grown, they really have grown with the retailers doing better and better. So they're part of that growth engine, if you will. I think the legacy retailers like Toys R Us that recently went bankrupt and liquidated.
Right.
They're ones that perhaps they were stagnant before the online sales, and online sales only attributed to it.
Right.
But the good ones, the ones that are at Chandler Fashion Center, the ones that are growing their businesses, they're figuring out online, and they're just as much a part of that growth as anything else.
Is Sears still a part of the mall, or is
So, right now, Sears is,
yeah,
and I think they obviously filed bankruptcy
right?
recently, but they're still open and operating and working towards their store closure.
Yeah, they're gonna close, and then that's Sears, and then Macy's at your mall, or
Yeah, we've got Nordstrom, Macy's, and Dillard's.
okay,
And Macy's such a great story. Our Macy's store is one of the top ones in the region,
yeah,
and it's actually one of the one that what they would call Growth 50. And they've actually done a ton of improvements. They've installed a VR headset where you can take in the measurements for your living room
right,
and pick out some couches, put on a headset, and you can see it as if you're standing there what it would look like in the dimensions of your room.
nice,
They've repainted, done some new lighting, really done some cool stuff for the experience side. So if you haven't been to Macy's recently, this year has been a big change year for Macy's here in Chandler.
yeah, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. So, I used to have an office down by Fiesta Mall in Mesa. Fiesta Mall's basically not a mall anymore. I mean, what happens with situations like that, and how do we prevent that from happening at our mall, which is just wildly successful right now?
Well, I think demographics, I think job growth, like Chandler has been focusing on, is really the key. I
Right,
mean, where the jobs go, so do the families,
right,
and for us, protecting those kind of the family nodes, the residential nodes within the city is a big push for us. I think keeping Chandler vibrant is just as much about the employment as anything else.
right, right. So, what do you think the future holds for retail in general, but maybe more specifically for the mall, the Chandler Mall?
I think retail is bright. I look forward to the future. I think when we see the born online players, the online retailers, the e-tailers, some people call them pure play retailers, and
Right,
that they only are online. They don't have a store. Well, the pure play guys, I think there's a great group called L2 Inc.
right,
And out of New York, and they actually call kind of the death of pure play, in
right,
that pure play is designed to start online, prove your concept, figure out where you should be and what you should be, and then you open stores, and it's kind of a flag post where you open a store and it directly translates to online sales plus the retail sales plus the experience. So I think for us, retail is bright in the future, and I think it's going to be more dynamic in that we'll have the retail, we'll have the dining, but that entertainment component and that
right.
experiential component is really going to be more important than ever into the future.
Yeah, and you've given some presentations both through the chamber and I think even to the board about the fate of retail, about the mall and what have you. I think you talked a little bit about Amazon in that presentation, didn't you?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, what's your take on? I mean, everybody talks about Amazon and what they are, what they're not, but any thoughts on Amazon?
Amazon is a great company, and I can't comment specifically about what they're doing, but they're doing some really cutting edge stuff. I mean, there are different stores and stuff that they've talked about in their
Right,
four-star stores, a new store recently, or the cashierless store, which I think adds square footage and experience back to the shopper. You can focus on the experience. But one of the things that I kind of commented on, one of them was the total dollars for online sales. Because everyone goes, well, online sales. But some of the numbers that have been rounded for global
right.
sales is about $26 trillion in retail sales
Annually?
in the world annually.
Wow.
But the thing is only about 2.4 trillion is done online. So even though you have 26, it's getting bigger and it's got a good growth rate. The reality is 90% or 92% of all of your retail sales are still done at brick and mortar stores. So it's still a very bright thing. And I think Amazon with their Whole Food stuff is really
I had to
they're experimenting a bunch of different things.
I had to buy a refrigerator recently, so I did it over the phone. So that would be considered a bricks and mortar purchase because I called the salesman at the store and he
Yep,
would,
talk to them, got to figure it out.
yeah,
Kind of Sears model, or even J.C. Penney's recent model, adding
yeah,
appliances to that store off of Gilbert Road.
yeah. Good move. Good move. Any other thoughts on Chandler Mall and what we want to do?
Well, I think for us, we got Santa coming. It's Santa season, and we've got one of 15 key Santa sets that it's an HGTV sponsored Santa set. So you get to come in, experience the Elf Academy, get to see Santa's headquarters where you can look out an observatory and watch you and make sure you're being good, and you get to take the naughty or nice meter. So I think for the next 2 months, come see Santa, come see his workshop, and just enjoy for free.
Okay.
You can see Santa for free and enjoy.
Where will he be at in the mall? Where
He's
about?
going to be in the court area right in front of Macy's, and
Okay.
it's a can't miss 2-story kind of experience.
Will he see older kids like me and you?
I stop by every year and ask for something, and sometimes he delivers, and sometimes Santa lets my wife know I shouldn't get it.
Well, I'll do that too. Hey, it's been good visiting with you today and talking about the mall. Like I said, the mall had been a special meaning to me. But when my first time through as mayor, it came to fruition, and we got it built. And then coming back the second time through, just to watch it be very successful, even in the face of a lot of tough times for bricks and mortar. So it's been really nice to see and how it stayed fresh and new and brought in the new users like Crayola. So we like seeing that, and it's been special, something that I've always liked to brag on a little bit. So I want to thank you for being here. Any last thoughts before we call it a day.
Well, thank you, and Mayor, you've been great as a partner. So the city of Chandler's, I think, equally gets to hang their hat on the Chandler Fashion Center for being such great partners. So we thank you for letting us come on.
Good. We'll be out there to see Santa in a couple weeks. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm Mayor Jay Tibshirani. You've been watching Chandler Inside and Out today. We were talking about the Chandler Mall. Great discussion, great mall. Until we see you again, take care and be safe.
Thank you.
Like a pro. That was awesome.